All right, let's go live. Howdy, folks. I am a giant potato. That's right. I'm a spud. And you can too, and I'll show you how to be a spud. You might be asking yourself, where's Amber? Amber's usually part of these live streams. Well, let me tell you, I have a story about a potato that might interest you. Pay no attention to the laughs in the background. That's not really Amber. That's just a potato that sounds like Amber. Say hi, Amber Potato. Amber's not answered this. The potato's very shy about this. Welcome to our May live stream. I hope your folks are all having a great day. I know that we aren't having a whole lot of folks join us today. Oh, and hi, June. You're not late. You're very much on time. You are so on time that it just started. Well, welcome. Welcome, both June and Starry. I hope you folks have a great time here. Hopefully you heard the bit about Amber being a potato now.
I'm not a potato.
She's not a potato. She is just not feeling very well, so she didn't want to show up today. But she's here. You can hear her in the background. So let's get started. How's that sound, folks? We have a good story, a good bunch of stories here. It's leftovers, much like you would take mashed potatoes and you would mush them up and you would put them in the refrigerator, and later on you would make a shepherd's pie out of them. That's what we've got here, a shepherd's pie just for you of old stories. So you called your grandson a potato. Hi, Morgan. Hi, Paige. Hi, everyone. Wow, a lot of folks today. I was like, oh, there's going to be no one on the live stream today. Everyone has said they were going elsewhere. There was like a bunch of people. So, hi, folks. Welcome. Good to see you here today. Our first letter, our first horrifying letter, is titled, Am I a Jerk for Telling My Girlfriend That She's a Bad Writer and She Should Be Ashamed for Charging People for Her Books? So, Paige says, Hi, Brian. I was the person that did the thesaurus favorite breakfast joke. Oh, well, God. Thank you. So, it was a funny joke. It was a funny joke. That's the one that you sent in to Amber there. So, I'm a 35-year-old male, and I'm a very honest person. And you can see where this is going already, folks. My girlfriend, Sam, a 30-year-old female, and I have been together for 8 months. Sam told me that she's a writer, but she never showed me any of her work. She's not rich by any means, but she does make enough to live rather comfortably. I've asked her multiple times, and she eventually agreed to show me her books. I was excited, but soon my excitement turned into disappointment. It was awful. Some trashy romance novel with bad writing. Apparently, she's published like 20 similar ones, and they sell very well. I was shocked. I told her that I'm sorry, but her writing was bad. She said that it's not bad, it's just average. That she knows that she's not the best writer, but it's the plot that matters, and she has an editor. I said that it's still bad, and she should be ashamed that she is charging people for this. She got all mad and called me a jerk and told me that she wanted to be left alone. I don't know what I've done wrong. She knows that I'm honest. My sister thinks that I was the jerk, but I'm confused. My girlfriend should know the truth and find a career path that will work for her and she'll be good at. Am I the jerk for telling the truth? I love all of the audacity here, folks. What do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
All right, OP, I'm going to be brutally honest with you. You sound like a major jerk. I mean, first of all, not every book is for every person, and that's totally okay. And not every book has to be a literary masterpiece to be readable.
Mm-hmm.
But he has to understand that his taste is not, he's not the arbiter of taste. Like, just because he doesn't like the book doesn't mean it's not worth reading.
Yeah.
And so I love how she's making a career for herself, and he's like, I just wanted to tell her so she can get a career. Like, it's not like she's a starving artist here who can't pay her bills.
Yeah,
Like,
it would be really different maybe if she was like was really struggling and having a hard time making ends meet, and he's like, hey, maybe you should consider moving on from writing and doing something else part-time. That way you can meet your rent and whatnot, right? But this is just cruel, right?
Yeah.
He's just saying cruel things to be mean and jealous because it's not, it really just doesn't make any sense because she's actually literally making a living off of it. And this last part where he's like, my girlfriend should know the truth and find a career path that will work for her. Well,
She's found one.
she's found one.
It's
She's
working
living
just
comfortably, even. You said that she's living comfortably.
Yeah, and like I like how he's like was pressuring her to read her books and then like turns it around and is like, "Well, she knows how I am. She knows I'm honest."
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, dude, you literally forced her to share them with you. She never asked for your opinion. Don't give unsolicited opinions unless they're nice.
Yeah. Well, and I think that, again, like, he's the one who asked her, and he kept building this up, building this, building us up. It would be a little bit different if she kept begging him to read these books, right? And it's like, please read my books. I want your input on them. Please, please, please. And then he picks them up and it's like, oh, yeah, I don't want to, it's just not my taste or something like that, right? But it's a completely different scenario. And oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to read some of the comments here. And Morgan says, you're the jerk. And Paige says, am I the jerk? Like, nah, it's perfectly normal to insult your partner's passions. Like, yeah, it's like, really, folks. June says, if people are paying her for her books, well, then what's the problem? He's being cruel.
Well, exactly. And that's the thing is like, how much money are you making off of your books, OP?
Yeah, he's apparently making a ton of money off of his books. Really, for sure. And Morgan says, yeah, that's what I was thinking. Not every book is for everyone. And there's a book for everyone. Well, there might not be a book for everyone. So I'll disagree on that last part. I'm just kidding. All right.
Well, probably there isn't one that lives up to OP's taste.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like, I'm doubting that there are any literary works for OP.
She could have like written like modern Shakespeare and he'd be like, this is trash, all trash. It's too fancy.
Mm-hmm. A picture book? A picture book might be up his alley, to be quite honest. Alright, folks, our next letter is titled, am I a jerk for wanting a week's vacation alone, away from my partner and children? I'm a 32-year-old female, and my partner is a 37-year-old male, and we are in a disagreement. He thinks that I'm being selfish for even considering this. I don't think that I am. He suggested that I post here to see what you all have to say. We've been together for 12 years. My partner has 2 responsibilities in terms of the house. He walks the dog in the morning and then goes to work full-time, 8 to 6. More often than not, he falls asleep at 8 p.m. and he works in IT. We have 3 children, 7, 4, and 2, and I'm fully responsible for their care, as well as everything in the household. Laundry, cooking, cleaning, etc. I'm a stay-at-home mom, but I'm also self-employed. So after I look after the children all day, then I work for a couple hours on my laptop. My birthday is coming up. I asked my partner what he would think if I booked myself a vacation for a week on my birthday and went away on my own. If he could use his PTO to take time off to look after them and spend the week with our 3 children, taking them to school and taking care of the house. He told me I was being selfish. Is it selfish to want to go on holiday for a week for my birthday? He said yes. My partner hasn't done a load of laundry in 10 years. He cooks dinner occasionally, 2 times a month, and he doesn't hoover, mop, or mow the lawns. I get it. He's tired and he works full time. But I work too, and I don't feel appreciated. I just want a week where I don't have to placate a crying child or stop the toddler from running into traffic or worry about everyone else's good time while sacrificing my own. The last time I spent away from the children/house was when we were out for dinner for his birthday in March. After they were asleep, I organized the babysitter. Oh, and my pap smear, which he tried to make me take the children with me, even though he was home. The holiday would be paid for entirely by myself. He gets 28 days of PTO, not including bank holidays. Last year, he lost 12 PTO days because he didn't take them. We're in the UK. Am I the jerk? All right, folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
Not the jerk. I love how he asked Opie to post it here. Like, dude, have you never read Am I the Jerk post before?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, it sounds like OP is doing way more than her fair share of the household. Like, I understand she's a stay-at-home mom, but that doesn't mean that his only responsibility is to work. Like,
Yeah,
usually
yeah,
people will help their partners when they get home from work.
yeah.
And so it sounds like he has done like no childcare, no housekeeping in the 12 years they've been together. And understandably, OP is exhausted and needs a break. And
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
if anyone's being the person being selfish here is him.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like he just doesn't want to deal with the children for a week because it would inconvenience him, and it's really frustrating his attitude here.
Yeah, it is a very frustrating attitude. And before I launch into my rant here, I'm going to say, hi, Mary, welcome. You made it. We're happy to see you here. I'll read off a couple of the comments, and then maybe I'll say something. Not a jerk. Everyone needs a break sometimes, and that was from Morgan. Paige says, not the jerk. I love my kids, but I also would like a week's break to send pics and video updates during the week. Everyone will be fine. Yeah, I mean, I agree on that. That seems pretty reasonable. And Mary says, maybe explain what 50-50 custody would entail. I like that. I like that. And Starry says, not the jerk. I travel anytime I want to. I have always traveled with my daughter since she was born, though, and she's 16 now. And Mr. Splush Push says they made it, too. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. And I think this guy's being very selfish. I think that she hasn't had a break in years, and she's trying to express to her partner that she feels like she needs some time away from everything. And while he doesn't get like a vacation in the traditional sense of like he's going to be home with the children, right? He has the opportunity to take more time, and he's just choosing not to.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that if he wanted to break away from the children for a week, which I mean I think he's getting anyways from the description here,
Yeah.
that OP would probably accommodate that. And I don't think that's unfair for her to request a little bit of a break on her own. And I think that he's kind of being selfish here.
Well, especially like it seems like she can barely go to the doctors on her own. Like, who wants to wrangle 3 children while you're trying to go to the doctors?
Yeah, and I think this is a really unreasonable ask. Even though he was home, he could have taken care of the kids there. It sounds like he's really just not an active partner. He's home for 2 hours a day, essentially, because he goes to sleep early in the day.
Mm-hmm.
And then the rest of the time, she's doing everything else. And that can be really exhausting. And I feel really bad for Opie here. So I don't blame her in the least. I think that she deserves a vacation.
Yeah.
So if it's up to me, OP, take your vacation.
Yeah.
So that's my thoughts. Speaking of my thoughts, that wasn't a really great segue, but we'll stick with it. Am I the jerk for having maternal feelings for my sister's child? Oh my goodness, folks. Amber is over here cringing. This is a horrifying story. Let's jump into it. I'm a 29-year-old female, and my sister is a 34-year-old female, and her husband is a 36-year-old male, I think. They were unable to conceive a baby, and after testing for several rounds of fertility treatments, it was concluded that my sister will likely never be able to have children. My sister and her husband approached me last year and asked if I would do them a huge favor in donating my eggs to their efforts. My sister said that she didn't want her baby to feel like someone else's, and that she at least wanted to have a biological connection with it. I thought about it for a long time, and I decided to agree. It turned out that not only could my sister not produce fertile eggs, but her body was actually not suitable to carry a pregnancy to term either. After seeing how badly it hurt her, and considering I had already had 2 children of my own, I decided that I would offer to be her surrogate. The insemination happened a month or 2 after these discussions, and I gave birth to a healthy baby boy this January. My sister was thrilled, but honestly, letting her take him away from me was the hardest thing that I've ever done. She tried to assure me that I would see the baby often, but I couldn't fully mentally accept that I would just be his aunt. Well, I also started to view her husband differently. Prior to all this, he was just her husband, but now we shared a baby together. I can't shake the thought that this baby is mine. Every time I see him, I notice things about him that remind him of me. I'm ashamed to admit it, but I've even started to ask him to call me Mama when it's just the two of us. I tell him not to tell my sister. I've also started to find myself becoming more and more attracted to my brother-in-law, and I think that he reciprocates. My husband and I are divorced, and so I've been raising my children mostly alone and with the support of my family. My sister noticed that I was cozying up to her husband and my son, and she confronted me. She claimed that I wasn't being fair and I was treating my son like a nephew. I wasn't treating my son like a nephew like I agreed that I would. She also accused me of trying to steal her man. I told her that I hadn't said or done anything to her or her husband, and so how could she claim this? I finally broke down and told her that I can't help that I have maternal feelings for my son. She began to cry loudly and was totally inconsolable for the rest of the time that I was there. She told me that she feels like an aunt to her sister and husband's child. She says that she feels like the baby is the product of incest. What do I do? Am I the jerk? Edit. I want to add that the baby is still very young, and he doesn't literally say mommy, he says mama, like babbling. I've repeated mama to him, and he has said it back to me just a little bit. I just wanted to be clear that I wasn't fully telling a developed child that I was his mother. I have no plans on making a move on her husband. We kissed once in the past, but my sister is aware of this, and we worked it out before talks about surrogacy. I will consider therapy. All right, folks, what do you think? Train wreck or not?
Yeah, I feel so bad for OP's poor sister and all of this. I mean, this should never have happened to begin with because, like, if she had already kissed the sister's husband in the past, like, that is not a good sign of things to come.
No.
And yeah, OP, you are being a bit of a jerk here, and so is the husband. Like, and I understand surrogacy is difficult, but if you are having a hard time with it, the time to express your concerns was when you gave birth.
Yeah.
You can't just kind of like hand over the baby to your sister, act like everything's fine, and then like behind her back start telling her son to call you mama. Like,
yeah, I think there were a lot of places here where OP should have taken a step backwards and examined her feelings. I understand that this was a really difficult thing for her where she had to give up this child. And I think that this is a really uncomfortable place to be in where you realize that you're having these feelings. And at that point in time, she really should have gone into therapy.
Mm-hmm.
She should have realized and reflected enough to be like, yeah, I think I'm going to need some therapy. I also think she should have sat down with her sister and been fully honest about this.
Exactly. Because, yeah, it's understandable that, I mean, the body secretes hormones to make you bond when you give birth. And so, of course, it makes sense that OP is going to feel that connection.
Mm-hmm.
But, she should have been upfront with her sister that this feels like my child. I don't want to give him away. And, like, instead of, again, getting her sister's hopes up that she has this child and then making her sister play second fiddle.
Yeah, it's going to be a really unfortunate and unfair situation to her. And I just feel so bad for her in this situation because she feels like she's not only losing her child, but her husband as well.
Yeah, and that whole husband situation, I think is where OP is the biggest jerk.
Yeah.
Like, if you know you have feelings for this person, have in the past, like, I know she says they worked through them, but clearly they didn't. And, like, you just need to remove yourself from your sister's partner. Do not be with him in any like unsupervised settings.
Yeah.
Stay as far away from him as you can. Like, just do not.
Yeah, do not engage. Do not engage further. I'm glad she's going into therapy. This is a mess. This is a train wreck. And Mr. Super Plush says, yikes already. Yeah, I can agree on that. Paige says, this just keeps getting worse. It really did. Starriness says, this is really sounding like the hand that rocks the cradle. This isn't the first time that I've heard that. Some people on the Instagram, I think I posted this one to Instagram. Maybe I didn't. I think maybe it was in the comments. They said something about that too. June says, this is a hard thing to say that she's the jerk, but she needs to get some help. Yeah. And Mr. Superplush says that there was a lot of conversations that should have happened before all of this. Yeah, for sure. Mary says, sister didn't want her baby to feel like someone else's, but guess what? They feel like someone else's, so yikes, OP needs to seek some counseling and get distance from the family. You're the jerk. June says, I don't think that she was in the right place when she agreed to do this. And Morgan says, you're the jerk, this is pretty sad. And no, OP can't get him to call her mom behind everyone's back. But this happened. Technically, it's OP's baby. Yeah, communication and therapy is great. Yeah, I think that's a reasonable take. All around, just a terrible train wreck. Terrible train wreck. Speaking of train wrecks, our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Not Letting My Sister-in-Law and Her Friends Stay With Me? I think this one's a train wreck enough for that segue to actually work. I have 5 brothers and 4 sister-in-laws. I get along with 3 of them wonderfully, and the 4th is just okay. No beef or anything until now. She just isn't as social as the rest of us and keeps to herself a lot. We have a family group chat with us siblings and the spouses that she doesn't participate in much, but I know she reads everything. Also, I live in a touristy area that's getting ready to amp up for the year. I posted in the group chat that my in-laws were taking my daughter to another state to visit some family, and how excited that I was to get her to go, but also excited that I was going to have some alone time. I took my daughter to meet my in-laws and stop for food, and on my way home, with the plan to open all of my patio doors, enjoy the breeze and sound, and watch the TV, breeze and sounds of the outdoors, and watch TV all night. Well, I get home, and I drop the food on the counter, go into my bedroom and put some PJs on, and I heard something banging on my patio door. And I walk out of the bedroom, and it's my sister-in-law, number 4, with 3 other women that I don't know. They have suitcases and are all trying to open my door. I go to one door, and I open it slightly, and I ask, what's up? And my sister-in-law says that when she saw that I was going to be kid-free for a few days, she decided to plan a girls' trip and come and keep me company. How generous. I say, without asking if I want any company because I don't, one of her friends says, you didn't make sure that this was okay? And sister-in-law says, we're family. I don't need to check. To which I reply, oh no, you absolutely should have checked because I would have told you no. Sister-in-law says that, well, we're here now, so just let us in. I say, no, that's okay, I'm not up for company, especially 4 of you. Sister-in-law says, but you have 3 guest bedrooms. I reply that, no, 1 is my daughter's room, 1 is my office, and 1 is a guest room for invited guests, which you are not. Please go away. I then closed the curtains, and I had put them up mainly for decoration and wasn't even sure that they would cover all the windows. She knocked on my patio doors for about 15 minutes before they left. I blocked her on everything so I could enjoy the night. My brother called me and asked me what happened, and I told him. He said that his wife had told him that I invited her. After me asking him if he really thought that I was the kind of person who would invite 4 people to stay with me when I didn't even know 3 of them, he just said that he would take care of it. She's now very mad at me and is telling everyone who will listen that I embarrassed her in front of her friends and she's never going to forgive me. Pretty sure I don't care though. I just wanted to enjoy my extended weekend alone, so am I the jerk for not letting an uninvited guest ruin my extended alone weekend? Alright folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
Not the jerk. Like, the audacity of her to just show up on OP's door with 3 strangers like, oh, hey, we're using your house. I hope that's all right. Oh, it doesn't matter if it is or not because, we're family. We have to. Like, none of that is okay. It's your house. You are allowed to not take uninvited people into your house.
Yeah, I mean, imagine the audacity to think that you can just drop by uninvited. I mean, like, I know some people will drop by uninvited for like an hour visit, but imagine thinking that you could drop by for a few days for an uninvited visit.
With all your friends.
With all your friends in tow. And it sounds like what she was looking for was a vacation. So she wanted to come down to this area that's very touristy. She wanted to go ahead and get to see the sights and stuff like that, all on OP's dime, while OP would host them and have to take care of them and do all of the hostessy type of things.
Well, and I like how she'd also assign all of OP's rooms. Like, oh yeah, your kid's room, that's a guest room now. Your office, that's a guest room now.
Yeah, every room is now a guest room in your house. You clearly always want guests, and you have multiple guest rooms just specifically for this reason. So it's so bizarre that she would make these assumptions. I mean, I think we all know the reasons. It isn't that she made the assumption.
She just thought she could strong arm OP.
Yeah, she thought that OP was gonna be a pushover and just let them in, and then they could have their fun weekend at OP's expense. So yeah, it's an unfortunate situation, but OP has every right, like Amber was saying, to close the door on them and walk away. So, Mr. Super Plush says, I've had nightmares like this. June says, no, not the jerk. How nice of the sister-in-law to ask first. The sister-in-law is the jerk. And Mary says, not the jerk. Oh my goodness. Would I take so much pleasure in closing the door and on the gang at the door with the one word at them all being no, and then I would bask in the glow of sister-in-law never forgiving me. And Morgan says, not the jerk. Oh goodness, not at all. And Starriness says, I'm glad the brother-in-law supported OP. Yeah. Well, we hear so many stories where people are like not supported by their siblings or spouses or other family and whatnot. So it's refreshing to see that that isn't the case here. So, speaking of people who lack support in their family, am I the jerk for asking my homemaker wife to go to work to compensate for her increasing expenses? This is a horrifying story. And there is a content warning on this one, right? She has a medical issue.
Issues.
She said some medical stuff.
Unspecified medical stuff, yeah.
Okay, I couldn't remember if it was actually specified or not. I am a 50-year-old, and my wife is 53 years old. She has been a homemaker for all of her life. She maintained the house, played a big part in raising my children, etc., etc. I declared bankruptcy about 9 years ago due to losing a lot of money in my business. My children took out loans and worked during their free time to support themselves as much as they could and paid for their own educations. Now both my children are independent, living by themselves, and they have paid back their tuition and loans and whatnot. I have been discharged from bankruptcy for about a year at this point, and I'm still working at the job that I got after I declared bankruptcy for 9 years now. The pay isn't good, but I like the job. It's very easy, and the people are very friendly. My wife has recently been visiting the doctor a lot. She's got quite a few medical problems: migraine, chronic lung condition, fatty liver, etc. Because of these medical problems, she can't be insured. My children have been giving money to help with increasing medical expenses and for any emergencies since she can't be insured. But recently, my children have reduced the amount of money that they are giving her because they are having financial commitments in their life, like house and kids, etc. So my wife has been asking me for more money to make up for the difference. The thing is that I don't have any money to give her. My income is just enough to make ends meet. I do have some spare cash, hundreds of dollars after my expenses, but I want to use that money for my hobbies and things that I want to purchase. I have asked my wife to get a job. She's got a bachelor's degree to make up the difference, but she says that she can't work because of her medical problems and lack of experience, not having worked her whole life. She keeps asking me to find a new job with a higher pay and keeps citing the fact that I'm the earner and I'm earning less than a fresh graduate with a bachelor's degree, although I have nearly 25 years of experience. But I like my job, so I don't want to switch. Am I the jerk? All right, folks, what do you think?
I mean, I think the biggest jerk here is the American healthcare system because you shouldn't be uninsurable.
Yeah.
That's the entire point of insurance, is so that you can have your medical issues covered. But yeah, OP is also being a jerk here because the way he frames the entire issue is like, oh, she has these frivolous stuff, so she needs to get a job. Like, that's what the title reads as. And then it's like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
she has health issues. And she's absolutely right that after being out of the workforce for like 20 plus years, she is not going to have a very easy time finding a job. Like, I don't know if Opie understands how difficult it would be for her to find anything that pays more than minimum wage and that isn't like on your feet doing like retail or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, because she has been out of the workforce for so long, she isn't going to really get any jobs. And OP is working below their potential, and I can certainly understand why they wouldn't want to get a harder job, but at least what they could do is get a second job. I don't know.
Yeah, or spend their hobby money. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
understand wanting hobby money, but also this is your partner we're talking about here. Like, marriage is supposed to be in sickness and in health.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds like he hasn't been committed to that any step of the way. Like, he's already sunk the family financially before,
Yeah.
and the kids had to like bail themselves out, which they seemed fine to do. And like at every step of the way, it sounds like his big concern is him and his fun.
Yeah.
He's not concerned about how his choices are affecting the rest of his family, and I think that's the big issue here.
Yeah, I mean, I think that those were all really good points, and it's really unfortunate. And like you said, I think the real villain here is that she's uninsurable. So, and I think this is one point that Mary says here is so many questions. In the US, insurance is available for pre-existing conditions now, and given that the bankruptcy was medical, um, or given the bankruptcy, Medicaid, I'm sorry. So yeah, I mean, I think that that's a good point.
Well, that was something I had wondered about too. Is like, is it one of those jobs where they don't even offer health insurance or have like the ridiculously high premiums? Because generally, yeah, if you work at any like moderately sized company, they'll offer you health insurance, and
Yeah.
there's no like restrictions on who in your family can be insured.
Exactly, exactly. And June says, "Oh my goodness, yes, he's the jerk. She has health issues and probably can't work." So yeah, I mean, it's not her fault that she can't work here. And it sounds like she probably would try to work if she could, but it can be really difficult to work if you have a lot of medical conditions. And Morgan says, "You're the jerk. A job with a serious medical condition? Yeah, she deserves disability or something like government help. I agree." And that's just it, is that it seems like she's having a lot of medical issues. It seems like she's not getting any support from her husband. And OP, he just wants to play as opposed to actually help his wife in a meaningful way. And I understand that it's hard, but sometimes sacrifices have to be made. And speaking of sacrifices, I don't know if this is a good segue or not.
I mean, I think there should be a sacrifice made here, but
Amber's like a very different sacrifice. Am I the jerk for allowing my daughters to put locks on their doors? I'm a 40-year-old female and I have two daughters from my first marriage. Lily, a 14-year-old female, and Lisa, a 12-year-old female. I divorced my ex, a 42-year-old male, 3 years ago. We tried to make the divorce as easy as possible for the sake of my girls, and I'm on friendly terms with my ex. We share 50-50 custody, and I've been living with my boyfriend Bill, 50, for 6 months. Well, when I got serious with Bill, my girls were against living with a stranger. We dated for a year before moving in together. So they moved in with their dad full time. Bill can't have kids, and he was excited to be a stepfather to them. So after 3 months, we came to an agreement. The agreement is that Bill will not be forced into their lives, which means no photos, no Father's Day gifts, and no referring to himself as their father. I agreed to this deal because I miss my daughter, and Bill reluctantly agreed. The problem is that Bill has a bad habit of entering any room without knocking, or knocking when he's opening the door. My daughters hate this. They change in their bedrooms, so there haven't been any awkward situations yet, but they can't take it. They change in the bathroom. I'm sorry about that. I often hear them yelling, "Shut the door," or slamming the door in Bill's face. I've asked Bill many times about this, but he says that he was raised that way, with only open doors, and it shouldn't be a problem unless they're hiding something. Yeah, because that's the only reason.
yeah, no, you can't have privacy in your home.
Yeah, kids don't need privacy. They're just hiding stuff. Since they are all some young ladies, their dad bought them doors or their locks and installed them. My daughters are very happy with this, but Bill is not. Now I hear him banging on their doors like crazy as he calls their names to ask them for something or talk to them, and they often just ignore him. This was a week ago. Well, a few days ago, Bill asked me to take off the locks because the girls are isolating themselves from the rest of the house, and they don't spend enough time with their family anymore. I laughed and I told them that this was absurd, and they are comfortable that way because at their age, they don't want someone to come in without knocking. He said that they should be comfortable already because they're at home with their family, and locks are not for family, but for strangers. I reminded him that he's technically a stranger to them, and I won't risk the safety of my daughters, and he asked me if he means that I think of him as a creep, and that's what he tried to explain. I gave him, I'm going to reread that sentence, I'm sorry. He asked me if that means that I think that he's a creep when I tried to explain. He gave me the cold shoulder and went to a hotel. It's been 2 days now, and he hasn't answered my calls or messages. I don't understand why the locks bother him so much, and his reasons are starting to look very suspicious to me. Am I the jerk? Edit, no, we are not married, he's just my boyfriend, and I don't plan on ever getting married again, not with him or anyone else. I've been through that once, and I've had enough with just one time. Alright folks, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I don't think you're the jerk here for letting your kids have locks, and I honestly am very concerned about why an adult man needs unrestricted access to teen and tween girls' bedrooms.
Yeah.
Like, children deserve privacy, especially at that age. Like, I could understand if it was little children who could, hurt themselves accidentally or something, but we're talking about a 14 and 12-year-old. They're old enough to have some level of privacy, especially from someone who's still virtually a stranger to them.
Yeah.
Like, this just, his whole attitude there is, like, would he like the kids walking into their bedroom, like, anytime they wanted to? It's privacy, and everyone needs to be able to have some level of privacy. Children should be able to feel safe in their homes, and they don't. It sounds like they do not feel safe around him. They do not see him as part of the family, and he's either has creepy intentions or he is trying to be the overbearing and smother them, make them be his kids type of thing. And neither option is great, but I'm especially concerned that it might be the first.
Yeah. Well, I would have a lot of pause here, and I think that this is a really poor philosophy. I understand that he was raised a certain way, but that doesn't give him an excuse to impose that way of life on other people. And they had an agreement that the girls were going to essentially be not his daughters in any way, shape, or form. And he's just trying to trample all over that. He's trying to treat them, either one, he's trying to exert his dominance over them, which is kind of how I read this. Or two, he's a creep. Right? And neither of those situations are very good. And so I think that he is not a very good individual. And if I were OP, I would be seriously reconsidering this relationship.
Exactly.
Because this is not good. This is not a good at all. And Paige says, oh no, which I can agree on that sentiment. June says, nope, not the jerk. Please keep the locks on. They need their privacy. And Paige says, not the jerk. Bill sounds like a creep in my opinion, and wanting to accidentally walk in on them. Yeah, that's my thoughts there. This sounds more like, oh, oopsie doodles, I just accidentally walked in on you while you were indecent. You shouldn't have been indecent ever in your private room. So that's it. It really does give me those vibes. I mean, I hate to be cynical, but I don't trust Bill. I don't trust him. And Mary says, I have a real problem with moving boyfriends into the home, especially when the kids say, please no. Your kids should never feel uncomfortable or unsafe in their own home. You're the jerk for letting this guy in.
Yeah, well, that is important. Like, kids do need to feel safe. And, it seems like every step of the way they're getting stranger danger vibes from him, and that's not good.
Yeah, it's not good. Not good at all. And Starriness says he's a creep. She needs to put her kids first. New locks for the front door. I agree on that.
Yeah.
And Paige says, I meant walk in on them doing something private. Oh, I see. Yeah, that also makes sense. That it's just a icky situation, just as Morgan says. Oh, and Morgan says Paige says the stream fixed itself. Oh, good. I'm glad. They were saying it was glitching there for a minute, so it stopped glitching. We're all fine. We're all set. The network connection, I was having some internet issues earlier this week, so I have to fix them at some point in time, and it means that I have to get a new router essentially. So it's not fun. So sorry if the stream is not going as smoothly as it could. But speaking of going as smoothly as it could, our next letter is titled, Am I a jerk for telling my wife that I'm mad that she didn't let me have my friends over?
Oh yeah, he was real smooth.
Real smooth, just slick. Last Saturday, I went over to a friend's house to hang out with some guys. My wife, who gave birth to our son 6 weeks ago, also had her friends over to our house. So I finish up at the gym and I head over there and I sit down to play some games. After playing about 30 minutes, my wife calls me, her friends are gone now, and asks if I can come home because a bump on her skin has gotten more painful and she doesn't want to be taking care of the baby alone when it's painful for her to stand and walk at this point. Previously, it only hurt when she was sitting. Obviously, I'm disappointed that I have to leave, but it is what it is. So I get up and I tell my friend who gave me a ride over that I need him to give me a ride home. Everyone is confused and upset that I'm leaving, especially since now they're going to be short a person for their game. On the ride home, I call my wife and suggest that I just bring my friends over to my house instead. That way, I can help with the baby whenever she needs me to, and I'll be still hanging out with my friends whenever I'm not needed by her. She says that she doesn't want people over, and we hung up. At this point, I'm mad. After I get home, I lay down next to her, 15 minutes of silence. She obviously doesn't need me at the moment. I finally ask myself out loud, what am I going to do for the rest of the day? She immediately starts crying and says, are you seriously mad right now? And I tell her, yes. I'm not mad that she wanted me home, but I'm mad that she won't let me have my friends over when in my mind, it makes no difference to her. They'll be out having in the living room the whole time. It's not like she's going to be leaving the bedroom anyways, since it hurts for her to walk. She has no reason in the first place when I'll be in the house and will be available at her beck and call. She says my priorities are all wrong. I tell her that she comes before my friends, but that I don't see why I can't be there when she needs help. And then also be able to go out into the living room and see my friends when she doesn't need my help. That way, we're all happy, right? She gets all the help that she needs, and my Saturday plans that I've been looking forward to all week aren't spoiled. She says that I just don't get it, that she needs moral support and won't be able to provide that if my friends are over. I don't understand this because I know for a fact that if I came home and just hung out playing video games in the living room when not actively helping her, that she would be fine with that. Even she admitted that this was true. After we argued, she took an ibuprofen and felt no pain at all until the next day. Please don't leave negative comments about my wife being a baby or anything. I'm not here to make her look bad or bash her. I just love and care about her a lot. I just need to know if I was being a jerk or not. All right, folks, what do you think?
Oh, don't worry, OP. We're not here to bash your wife. I think that she's being perfectly reasonable. Like, I couldn't imagine having just had, like, some kind of major surgery or major bodily thing happen, be lying there in pain, and have Brian like, oh, hey, I'm gonna go play video games in the living room with my friends. Like, even if it doesn't, like, directly, like, when you're sick, sometimes you or not feeling well, you just want to have someone there who can support you and, you know, you're like help you out and like not have to worry about getting their attention away from their friends, not have to worry about there being all these people in your house who may expect you to like cater to them in some way and
Or just
like
be loud,
or just be
right?
loud and just like invading the space. Like when I don't feel well, I don't want other people around. It doesn't matter if they're out in the living room. I just kind of want quiet and calm environment and not a bunch of people playing loud games and everything.
Yeah, I mean, I think from OP's perspective here, and I think I'm putting, of course, words into OP's mouth, but he saw that his wife had friends over earlier, and he's like, well, if she had friends over earlier, then why can't she have friends over now, type of thing. And I think that there's a reason why they're not over anymore, right?
Yeah. And I just like do think his priorities are not right here. Like he wants to keep living like he doesn't have a kid and he doesn't have a partner to take care of. And like it's she just gave through a very physically taxing endeavor.
Mm-hmm.
She's still in pain. She's still recovering. Like, yeah, dude, you need to put the video games and the fun time on hold for a little bit and be a support system. Like, that's what you're here for.
Yeah, and I mean, I certainly understand his frustration that he feels like his, Saturday was ruined, but he needs to really put his wife first, like what you were saying, and like what his wife is saying. She doesn't feel like she's first in her eyes.
Exactly. Well, and the thing is, like, it's absolutely fine to feel frustrated when things don't go your way, but he doesn't have to take that out on her. Like, he could journal those feelings, but to this whole passive aggressive, what am I going to do with my day? Like,
Why I can't think of anything to do with my day now?
Like, dude, just feel lucky you're not the one in pain.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and then he seems to think that since her pain went away, it was like, oh, no big deal. She could have just taken that ibuprofen and been fine, and I could have kept playing video games. And it's like, she's recovering. She doesn't feel good. Just be a good partner.
Yeah, I really feel bad for her in this situation. I can certainly understand his frustration, but I think that he's approaching this completely wrong. Completely wrong. And Mary says, "The other jerk, in her mind, it makes the difference to her. OP, you actually comprehended her contribution to childcare versus your contribution to children. Do you actually comprehend?" Yeah. And June says, yes, he's the jerk. I would not be happy with people in my house if I was trying to recover. Morgan says, I don't know. She just was spending time with her friends. You're the jerk. Just take care of your wife and reschedule. And Paige says, well, easy fix. Get a headset and find the game that you can play online so you can be with her solo and play games with your friends. Not the best solution, but it could work. And I mean, I actually agree on that. I think that could actually be a nice compromise for a situation like this.
Yeah. As long as he's still reachable.
Mm-hmm. As long as he doesn't have the music all the way up or something like that so he can't hear her or stuff like that. So, yeah. Well, let's move along to our next story, and then I guess we'll try doing some tea time, and then maybe we'll end on a story.
All right.
So, our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Eating Salad in Front of My Girlfriend and Then Making a Joke About It? I'm a 28-year-old male, and I grew up in a family that put a lot of emphasis on eating healthy. As a kid, we always started dinner with a salad, and I've continued that practice as an adult. I don't take my salad with any dressing, and only toppings that I add are mushrooms and tomatoes. Since I don't put any dressing on my salad, I often eat it with my hands, since it's easier than trying to spear the dry mix of greens with a fork. I've been eating my salad like this basically since I was a teenager, and it was never an issue, even when having dinner with my parents. Well, my girlfriend, 27-year-old female, eats salad occasionally, but doesn't love them the way that I do, which is fine. She's currently pregnant, and pretty much all she wants to eat right now are meat and potato type meals, which is also fine. She also had some severe morning sickness in her first trimester and has been struggling to find food that she can constantly keep down. So we'll make something that she wants for dinner, and then I will pay for pair it with a side of salad for myself, so I'm getting my greens. Well, lately, I've noticed that she's been a little distant during our dinner, so I asked her about it. She said that my side salads are unappetizing to her, and requested that I stop eating them in front of her because it makes her nauseous to watch me. I told her that everything makes her nauseous right now, and that it's not fair to me that I have to change my lifelong diet because of her pregnancy symptoms. She told me that the issue isn't with the salad, it's the way that I shove it down my throat like a caveman. Apparently, that makes her gag, and she doesn't want to finish her own food. I told her that I've been eating my salads like that for over a decade and no one has ever commented on it. So I think she's being overdramatic. I told her that her caveman comment was rude and unnecessary, and that I would like to continue the conversation with her when she's ready to talk about it in a more reasonable way. She immediately got up and went into the nursery and shut the door behind her. When I walked by later, I could hear her crying, but I didn't go in and say anything because I feel like she should be the one to apologize to me for the crass comment that she made about how I eat. She ended up sleeping in the glider in the nursery while I slept in the bed alone. We sat down for breakfast this morning in silence, so I attempted to diffuse the tension by asking if the way that I was eating my toast was acceptable or if it was also making her nauseous. She immediately started crying again and calling me a jerk and accusing me of not caring about her feelings or how hard her pregnancy has been on her. All I was trying to do was make a joke. And I know pregnancy is hard, but women go through it all just fine all the time. So I don't understand why she's making such a big deal about it. So am I the jerk for eating my salad in front of her and then making a joke about it the next morning? I want us to sit down and resolve this when she gets home from work tonight, so I guess if I need to apologize, then I will. All right, folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
I love how the person who presumably cannot experience pregnancy is like, women go through it all the time. I don't understand why she's being so dramatic. Like, just because some people have easy pregnancies does not mean that everyone does. Plenty of people have very difficult pregnancies, and it sounds like she's having a hard time keeping down food. And like, would it really kill you to eat salad with a fork for a few months?
Yeah.
And then, like, on top of that, his whole, like, passive-aggressive, is the way I'm eating my toast bothering you? Like, that wasn't a joke. That was a punch.
Yeah. He was punching down here. And while her caveman comment wasn't necessarily warranted, I feel like, his comment was also not warranted. And he's really lacking in any empathy for her in this situation. And then I also want to point out who slept in the bedroom. He chose to let his pregnant girlfriend sleep on the floor, essentially, or the glider, whatever it is, and instead of being like, hey, you know, I'm gonna go sleep on the couch, you can have the bedroom if you want, I'm sorry, you know, there's no need for you to lose sleep on this situation, right?
Yeah, well, and the whole thing, like, oh, sorry, I lost my train of thought. I had something.
Yeah, so I mean, it's an unfortunate situation, and he really needs to kind of start growing up and being more caring about her.
Oh yeah, I remember what I was gonna say. He also doesn't seem concerned that she's having a hard time eating and getting nutrients in. Like, he's way more concerned that he gets to keep eating his salad at the table with his fingers than that she is able to finish her food. And like, one of you is just dating a mini human. Like, really, like, if you have to eat your side salads ahead of time, ahead of the main meal or after the main meal, or eat them with a fork, those are all relatively small compromises to make sure that she's able to get the nutrients that she needs to stay healthy and to sustain the pregnancy.
Yeah, and I think her getting the nutrients that she needs are really, really important here. And I can certainly understand him feeling hurt that she doesn't like the way he's eating his salad. And also, he's like, oh, well, she feels nauseous about everything. Okay, well, if she feels nauseous about everything, then at least give her one less thing to feel nauseous about, right? And if it's going to be this one little tiny small compromise where he has to eat his salad away from the table or eat it after the dinner, then is that really that big of a compromise? I can certainly, again, see his frustration, but his petty comments about him eating his toast and forcing her to sleep on the floor and not being worried about her health, it really just feels very short-sighted to me. It feels very immature. So, yeah, that's what my thoughts are. And Starriness says, the rational competent, but that's rational complaint, but even if the woman was creating a human, it's a irresponsible complaint to be tolerant. Oh, and I actually can, I can zoom in on these comments. So they're like microscopic. That's why I have such a hard time reading them. So now I've actually increased their size. Morgan says, not the jerk, don't watch me eat, lol. The eating with hands is just a little weird though. Never mind, you're the jerk. OP's just a complete jerk. June says, the story is funny. It reminds me of my husband. When he eats soup, he slurps it loudly. Yes, he's a jerk for the joke, but maybe you could discuss the way you eat salad. And Mary says, women can't control the spurts of nausea during pregnancy. OP, just accommodate the woman carrying your child. Yeah, I can agree on that. I think those are all reasonable points of view. And speaking of reasonable points of view, folks, our next letter is tea time. Oh, you can see the foam I have here. Apparently my camera has been showing you the foam for a little while. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got an empty teacup right here, but I'll still let you guess what kind of tea I had and pretend to drink it.
What did sorry, I have to flip the joke because it's one of those I want to make it's when you can guess the punchline of.
I see.
So, why didn't the woman look for her missing watch?
Why didn't the woman look for her missing watch? I'll tell you why the woman didn't look for her missing watch. It's a harrowing story, folks. It is harrowing. Once upon a time, there was a woman, and she inherited a watch from her great-great-great-grandmother. And there was a rumor about this watch that it had been used in some dark rituals to keep time in some very particular rituals. And so she was gifted this watch, and she started hearing some strange ticking sounds in the middle of the night. And it sounded almost like the watch was operating, but the watch, it had stopped operating years ago. So there wasn't any reason for her watch to keep ticking. So she would go over to the counter where she had kept it, right, her wardrobe. She'd open up the watch, and it sure enough wouldn't be working. And so this kept happening day after day, night after night, and she would be woken up multiple times in the night by this ticking, this intense ticking. And so finally, she decided to lose the watch because it was freaking her out, because she thought, this watch is haunted, and I don't want to do with this anymore. So she found a cloud that was kind of wandering through the neighborhood. It was kind of like on its way out. She didn't really know where, and she gave it to the cloud and said, you can have this because I don't want it anymore. And then the cloud just wandered away. They said that they were looking for a little girl. I don't know if they ever found them. Why? That's the answer I have.
Because she couldn't find the time.
She couldn't find the time. And I have Mega Mint. And Mary, she has a Diet Coke. That sounds like a good Diet Coke. And Morgan guessed Mega Mint as well. So a nice guess there, Mary and Morgan. And Paige is having a tequila. And you're in New York. Cheers. Cheers. I have water on the side now. And June says that I'm going to say you have Mega Mint. Good guess, June. And it's Poe's Telltale Watch. It has very Telltale Watch vibes to it. I can agree on that.
That's where my mind went.
And that's a crazy watch, Morgan says. I couldn't find the time. Love it. Yeah, I mean, it was a good punchline. It wasn't bad at all. And speaking of being not bad at all, our next letter, which I'm going to open up in a second here, is titled, I zoomed in, so now it's going to be upset that oh wait, no, I just have it on the wrong screen. You can all see the comments that I see. So, yeah, here it is. Sorry about that. You can see behind the magic there for a second. I don't know why the gray on the side is there showing up. I guess we'll just go forward, though. Our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Telling My Future Mother-in-Law and Sister-in-Law That Nobody is Forcing Them to Come to My Bachelorette Party? And my sister is planning my bachelorette party. We're going to a water park for the day. This is what I did for hers when I was 16, and we both had a great time. She knows that I'm really not a fancy dinner kind of girl or a club girl either. So she figured, why not do what we enjoyed before? She also raised me from the age of 14 after our parents died, so she means the world to me. Invites for the party went out to the group on the list, and my future mother-in-law and sister-in-law were like, where is this? This isn't a bachelorette party. They asked me why I didn't include them and why my sister handled the whole thing. I said that my sister is my maid of honor and only bridesmaid technically, and she wanted to do this for me. They know mine and my sister's history, and they are aware that this is what I planned for hers when she was getting married. They also know that I'm not very formal kind of person or a party animal, but both of them claim that this was a childish party and not something for a future bride should be doing to celebrate her engagement of her wedding. What do they want her to do? Wow. They told me that it might be understandable that a teenager who knows no better would arrange something like this, but a grown woman in her 30s, she should know better. I told them that I did not want to be rude, and my sister was planning something that I would enjoy instead of something that she knows that I won't have fun during. They complain that they are too old, too offended, and all the kinds of other comments about the party. They are yet to RSVP to my sister also. So, when they complained to me repeatedly, I told them that nobody is forcing them to come if it's so offensive to them. RSVPing no is a valid choice and nobody will care if they come or not. They told me that we'll all be family soon and I should not be so casually telling them that I do not want them there. Their comment annoyed me when they had been complaining about it for a while. But maybe I'm the jerk for this. My fiancé told his mom and sister that they are being ridiculous and over the top, and that not everything will be exactly how they want it. They told him that what I said and how I'm telling my future family that their presence is not wanted. He shrugged at them, but do have to ask, am I the jerk? Alright folks, what do you think, jerk or not the jerk?
Not the jerk. That sounds like a lovely way to celebrate your bachelorette. Like, I love the tradition there, and the sentiment there. And it seems like a great way that meets your needs. Like, not everyone is a partier or a fancy dinner person, like you said. I didn't end up having a bachelorette because of COVID, but if I had, it would have been super chill, like just watching movies with like my sister and a few friends or something.
Yeah.
And like, they just need to take a step back, the sister-in-law and mother-in-law, and realize that not everything is about them.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes people are going to want to celebrate in ways that aren't your favorite, but that's okay, because this isn't to celebrate. This isn't like their bachelorette shower. This is OP's. And it should be something the bride will enjoy. Like, it's really kind of self-centered to want to foist something on the bride that they know she will not enjoy just because it's what they like better.
Yeah, and the fact that they're putting, like, gatekeeping on this and being like, oh, you're too old for this, you need to grow up and be more mature, and blah, 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 blah. It's just pretty awful that they're trying to do this to her, and they also aren't respecting her traditions and the relationship that she has with her sister, and they're acting like, oh, she's immature for doing something that and spending time with her sister in a way that they both enjoy and is sentimental to them. So yeah, Mary says, not the jerk, and mother-in-law at the hen do, no thank you. My son is getting married Saturday, and his bachelorette party was held at a Build-A-Bear. Talk about wholesome.
That sounds awesome.
It is pretty wholesome, and I'm really glad that they are getting married. So congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations to them.
June says no, she's doing what she wants. It's her party, and they are being selfish. Paige says major red flags for the mother-in-law and sister-in-law. And Susum says, I just came here and it's a wedding story again. They happen a lot. Wedding stories are often like where all the drama is, right? There's so much drama that happens with weddings, and I think they're just really stressful events where there's a lot of people trying to coordinate together and make some kind of event happen, and there's a lot of like strong personalities and headbutting and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, the sad part about all of that is that, like, I'm someone who, my wedding did not go at all according to plan because we had a COVID wedding, and but it was great because at the end of the day, I got to marry the person I wanted to, and the people who were able to be there, we had some people in person. It was like, we could only have 10 people in person because COVID limits, and so we had some others on Zoom, and like everything went wrong. Like, no one could hear the audio because it was really windy if you're on Zoom and everything, but it was still a wonderful day. And like, so even if things do go wrong, like, just try not to let them stress you out too much. It doesn't have to be picture perfect. It doesn't have to be all that jazz to be Yeah, so.
It just has to be a celebration between you and your loved ones to show your commitment to each other, and that allows people to have a time to celebrate love and the meaning of love. And I think that that's really what's important, and it's often lost in all of the frills, if you will.
Like, so many people are more concerned about the aesthetic, and that makes me really sad.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I understand it. I understand wanting beautiful pictures, but, like, at the end of the day, it's the marriage that matters.
Yeah, exactly. And Morgan says, not the jerk, it's OP's decision in this, so awful. And June says, I meant they. Mary says, love a good wedding story. Sue Sums says, I just think people should chill a little bit about weddings and enjoy what's actually important.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yep.
I agree. And June says, goodbye, everyone. I hope everyone has a wonderful evening. See you tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye, June. And thank you for joining us for the live stream. We're actually on our way out as well. So that speaking of all the time that we have today, thanks so much for joining us. As you can see, our next live stream is May 26th, 2023, which means that in the future we will have to travel backwards in time to today to arrive at our next live stream. So be prepared for that. It's quite a harrowing trip. It's actually going to be Friday, May 26th.
You mean June?
You're
still in May.
June. No, I switched the calendar. It's gonna be, I don't know why I read the wrong.
You're still in May.
I know. I have literally have the calendar for June up. I just read the date at the top of it.
Oh, I see.
It's going to be on June 30th. I don't know why I read the wrong thing. It's literally June 30th.
I was so confused for a second.
Yeah, I was very confused as well, apparently. So, June 30th, I hope to see you all there, and maybe in like 3 weeks I'll be able to update the next live stream outro, because I'm very good at that. I'll probably try to remember to do it before we jump off here. So, thanks everyone. Thanks for joining. Everyone, bye Paige, and it was good seeing you. Bye Maisie. I'm glad that you could join us as well. And Mary says bye. Bye, Mary. Bye, Starriness.
Bye,
Morgan. Everyone. I hope you all have a great evening. And bye, Susums. Thank you for joining us, everyone. It was a great time. I hope you enjoyed. And I hope you all have a great long weekend for some of you. Well, I'll be having a long weekend.
Yes, it's my birthday on Monday.
Yes, it's Amber's birthday, so happy birthday to Amber in a few days.
Yes, I'll probably wear a crown or something.
Amber wants to wear a crown for her birthday.
For my birthday.
Yeah, which makes sense. I mean, that kind of checks out, right? So thanks so much for joining us, folks, and I hope you all have a great evening,
Bye.
And Mary says happy birthday. Happy birthday from Paige as well.
Well, you all can say it again on Monday's video. So I will steal all the happy birthdays from everyone.
Amber wants all the happy birthdays. She has no shame when it comes to stealing birthday wishes. So, yes. All right, folks. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you later. Bye.